welcome to Storytime. My name is Lisa Jane and today I'd like to share with you Mr. Tickle. This is an absolute favourite of my student Lucas and I'm delighted to share with you today this little story. How have you all been? I know I've been away for a week or so, but I'm back and ready to share lots of stories with you. Okay, so let's begin, shall we? Mr. Tickle, are you ready? Shh, story time. Shh, it's story time. Okay, this is Mr. Tickle's house. See? Isn't it cute? A nice yellow roof, red door, and a lovely little pathway. It was a warm, sunny morning. In his small house at the other side of the wood, Mr. Tickle was asleep. You didn't know that there was such a thing as a tickle, did you? No, I didn't. Well, there is. Tickles are small and round and they have arms that stretch and stretch and stretch. Extraordinary long arms. Here, look, there's Mr. Tickle asleep in his bed. Mr. Tickle was asleep. He was having a dream. It must have been a funny dream because it made him laugh out loud, and that woke him up. He sat up in bed and stretched his extraordinary long arms and yawned an enormous yawn. Mr. Tickle felt hungry. So do you know what he did? Can you guess? He reached out one of his extraordinary long arms, opened the bedroom door, reached down the stairs, opened the kitchen door, reached into the kitchen cupboard, opened the biscuit tin, took out a biscuit, brought it back upstairs, in through the bedroom door and back to Mr. Tickle in bed. As you can see, it's very useful indeed having arms as long as Mr. Tickle's. Mr. Tickle munched his biscuit. He looked out the window. Today looks very much like a tickling day, he thought to himself. I wonder what a tickling day is. See, there's Mr. Tickle with his extraordinary long arms. So, later that morning, after Mr. Tickle had made his bed and cooked his breakfast, he set off through the wood. As he walked along, he kept his eyes wide open, looking for someone to, you guessed it, tickle. Looking for anybody to tickle. He wasn't fussed about who he wanted to tickle. I wonder what he's doing there. He's stretching up his arms. Eventually, Mr. Tickle came to a school. There was nobody about, so reaching up his extraordinary long arms to a high window ledge, Mr. Tickle pulled himself up and peeped in through the open window. Oh, I don't like the sound of this. What's he going to do? Oh dear, maybe tickle the teacher. Inside he could see a classroom. There were children sitting at their desks and a teacher was writing on the blackboard. Oh no. There you go, there's Mr. Tickle and he's stretching his extraordinary long arm through the window. Mr. Tickle waited a minute and then reached in through the window. Mr. Tickle's extraordinary long arm went right up to the teacher, paused and then tickled. The teacher jumped up in the air and turned round very quickly to see who that was. But there was nobody there. He's also very quick. Look at all the children laughing away. Mr. Tickle grinned a mischievous grin. He waited on another minute and then tickled the teacher again. This time he kept on tickling until soon the teacher was laughing out loud and saying, "Stop it," over and over again. All the children were laughing at such a funny sight. There was a terrible pandemonium. Eventually, Mr. Tickle thought that he had had enough fun, so he gave the teacher one more tickle for luck and then very quietly brought his arm back through the open window. Chuckling to himself, he jumped down from the window, leaving the poor Mr. Teacher to explain what was that all about, which of course he couldn't. Then Mr. Tickle went into town. I wonder who's going to tickle in town. Looks like a policeman. And what a day Mr. Tickle had. He tickled the policeman on the traffic duty as at the crossroads in the middle of town. It caused an enormous traffic jam. Oh dear. He tickled the greengrocer just as he was piling all of the apples neatly in his shop window. The greengrocer fell over backwards and the apples rolled all over the shop. Dear. He's very, very naughty, isn't he, Mr. Tickle? I wonder who's going to tickle next. At the railway station, the guard was about to wave his flag for the train to leave. As he lifted his arm into the air, Mr. Tickle tickled him. And every time he tried to wave his flag, Mr. Tickle tickled him until the train was 10 minutes late. It was 10 minutes late leaving the stations and all the passengers were furious. I would be too. Well, that day Mr. Tickle tickled everybody. He tickled the doctor. He tickled the butcher. The butcher too. He even tickled old Mr. Stamp, the postman, who dropped all his letters into a puddle. Naughty Mr. Tickle. Then Mr. Tickle went home. Sitting in his armchair in his small house at the other side of the wood, he laughed and laughed every time he thought all about the people that he had tickled. He does enjoy people tickling, doesn't he? There he is there. So, if you are in any way ticklish, are you ticklish? Beware of Mr. Tickle and those extraordinary long arms. Just think, perhaps he's somewhere about at this very moment while you're reading this book. Oh, I hope not. Perhaps that extraordinarily long arm of his is already creeping up to the door of this room. Perhaps it's opening the door now and coming into the room. Perhaps before you know it, and before you know what's happening, you will be well and truly tickled. Well, thank you so much for watching Mr. Tickle. I'll be back very soon with another story. I'll see you later. Stay safe. Take care. Bye.